The whispers have grown into an undeniable roar within the elite. A prophecy has been circulating. This prophecy isn't about someone else. It's about you. You've felt it in the corners of your mind, that stirring that tells you you're destined for more, even as the world around you tried to keep you small. You've endured the sneers when you spoke of higher callings, the subtle distancing when you embraced truths they couldn't comprehend, and the nights spent wrestling with doubt as you questioned whether your visions were delusions. But tonight, know that those doubts are about to be shattered by the revelation that everything you've experienced was preparation for this very moment. Hidden forces long feared your awakening, and now their secrets are being exposed. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. The prophecy they tried to bury is rising, and you are at its center. You were the prophecy all along. You felt the pull of something greater stirring in your soul, even as the world around you insisted that your dreams were folly. In quiet moments when your heart pounded with unspoken conviction, you brushed off the thought as wishful thinking, fearful that admitting it would make you seem delusional or proud. You've watched opportunities slip by because you hesitated to step forward, worried that you'd expose yourself to ridicule or rejection. Yet beneath every hesitation, there was a whisper urging you to stand tall, to recognize that your life carries a weight no accident could produce. You are not alone in this restless tension between faith and fear. It is the very sign of a higher calling taking shape within you. Tonight, know that the stirrings you've sensed are no mere echoes of ambition, but the first notes of a prophecy unfolding through your life, and the secrets once hidden in shadow are moving toward the light. For too long, you've carried the sting of being dismissed as overly optimistic or naively spiritual. There were moments when sharing your vision left you isolated. Friends drifted away when you spoke of purpose. Colleagues offered hollow praise when you declared possibilities they could not see. And even family questioned your sanity when you insisted that your life meant more than routine achievement. Those experiences cut deep, leaving you to wonder whether your intuition was misplaced or if your heart simply craved meaning beyond your reach. You've battled confusion when your inner compass pointed one way and the world pulled you another. Each wave of rejection felt like confirmation that you were spending your life chasing shadows. But behind every cut of cold dismissal lay the seed of divine selection. You were never merely a dreamer, but the dream itself waiting to be revealed. Then came the turning point when you glimpsed truth in an unexpected place, an ancient text rarely cited, 2 Esdras 6:21 declaring, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and shall not lie." Those words cut through your doubts like a blade of light. You realized that every moment of isolation, every discouraging word, and every sign of silence around you was not an end, but a preparation for your appointed hour. You understood that prophecy does not announce itself with fanfare, but moves in hidden rhythms, waiting for the perfect moment to break through. In that instant, the cold shoulders and hushed whispers transformed from wounds into hallmarks of destiny, marking you as the one whose rise they feared most. As this revelation anchored in your spirit, you began to notice both subtle and undeniable shifts around you. Conversations that once skimmed the surface deepened into dialogues of purpose the moment you entered the room. Doors that had remained tightly closed for years began to open with uncanny ease. A casual introduction led to a mentorship that reshaped your path. An unexpected message unlocked an opportunity you thought lost, and a spontaneous gathering turned into the network of allies you'd long needed. Even within yourself, you sensed a new authority in your decisions, a clarity guiding your steps like a compass that never wavered. These were not random strokes of luck, but the visible echoes of prophecy stirring the waters of your life, aligning every circumstance to confirm that your appointed time was now at hand. Behind these breakthroughs Unseen spiritual forces labored to clear your path. What appeared to be coincidence, meeting the right person at the right moment, stumbling upon the exact resource you needed, or receiving a dream that held the missing piece of a puzzle, was the handiwork of an orchestrator beyond human sight. Angels moved in silence, weaving together threads of circumstance that would have baffled logical minds. In the little-known prophecy of Baruch 3:36 it urges, "And look toward the east from where is the perfect light, and direct your path toward it." That perfect light was guiding you, and every providential encounter was a lantern illuminating the blueprint written for your life. Your struggles were never random tests, but divine calibrations, ensuring you would step onto your stage fully equipped and unafraid. Yet as you witness these signs, you may still stand at the threshold, uncertain whether to cross. Fear whispers that embracing destiny means exile from the comfort you once knew, that stepping into power invites scrutiny or envy, and that claiming prophecy risks delusion or downfall. Many resist this final leap, preferring the safety of the shadows to the exposure of the spotlight. But true alignment demands more than seeing the signs. It requires the courage to embody them. This is your sacred moment of decision, to trust that the voice stirring within you is not a trick of imagination, but the whisper of eternity beckoning you to rise. To hesitate here is to forfeit the fullness of what you were born to become. Now that you understand the depth of your calling, it's time to step into your role as the living voice of prophecy. Release the doubts that bind your feet and declare with conviction, "I am the appointed vision come to life." Integrate practices that reinforce this identity. Morning affirmations that speak your destiny aloud, journaling the confirmations you receive, and weekly ceremonies of gratitude for every sign of alignment. Surround yourself with fellow seekers who honor your path and challenge you to grow, forming a circle of accountability and inspiration. Seek out opportunities to speak truth in places craving authentic light, knowing that your words carry the power to dismantle illusion and spark transformation. With each bold step, you anchor prophecy more deeply into the fabric of reality. Remember, you were the prophecy all along, not someone who stumbled into destiny, but the one whose rise has been whispered in secret councils and written in ancient texts. Comment prophecy if you recognize the stirring of destiny within you. Let your affirmation join a chorus of awakened souls ready to dismantle illusions and reshape the world. They tried to keep you hidden in the shadows, but now their secrets unravel, and your voice becomes the clarion call of a new era. Your appointed time is here. Step forward and let prophecy speak through you. Trials as initiation. You've felt the weight of the world pressing on your shoulders when every misstep seemed magnified and every setback felt like proof that you were unworthy of your dreams. You remember those nights when the darkness pressed in so tightly that your only company was the echo of your own fears. You wondered if you were the source of your own misery, if you'd somehow earned these blows through mistakes too numerous to count. You've spent mornings staring blankly at a to-do list, heart heavy with the realization that another day of the same struggle lay ahead. In those quiet, vulnerable moments when the world slept and your doubts raged, you felt utterly alone, convinced that no one else would understand the depth of your pain or the scale of the obstacles before you. Yet beneath that crushing loneliness lay a spark of uneasy excitement, a whisper telling you that these trials were not the end of your story, but the beginning of your transformation. For as long as you can remember, every time you rose in hope, life dealt a harder blow. A relationship you poured your heart into dissolved without warning. A career opportunity you believed was your turning point evaporated at the last moment. Friendships you cherished slipped away as you dared to stand for truths they found uncomfortable. Even moments of quiet joy were shadowed by the thought that any peace you found would be temporary shattered by the next wave of adversity. You carried the emotional scars, wounds inflicted by words that cut deeper than any blade, betrayals that etched themselves into your soul, and seasons of isolation that felt like banishment from the very places you sought refuge. It's in those raw, unguarded days that you questioned whether you would ever emerge from the crucible stronger, or if the fires of hardship would consume you entirely. Then, in the middle of one of your darkest days, a flicker of understanding broke through. These trials were not random punishments, but carefully orchestrated initiations to awaken the warrior within you. In the hidden rites described in the obscure scroll of 1 Enoch 71:12, Enoch was led through 7 heavens, each more daunting than the last, revealing cosmic mysteries and testing his resolve. Like Enoch, you were guided through valleys of shadow to learn lessons impossible to absorb in calmer seasons. That broken relationship taught you the strength of self-love. That failed project honed your resilience. That lost friendship opened you to the power of true, transparent connection. Each painful chapter was an alchemical fire, purging impurities, fear, doubt, indecision, and forging in their place unbreakable resolve, clarity of purpose, and an unshakable faith in the path ahead. As this realization settled in your spirit, you began to notice the signs of your own initiation unfolding in real time. The same situations that once crushed your spirit now became stepping stones. Rejection emails hinted at better doors waiting to open. Sleepless nights sharpened your creative ideas. Solitude gave birth to clarity and deepened your intuition. You saw that your tears watered seeds of compassion for others. Your moments of despair ignited empathy that became a healing balm for those around you. Even in your career, you found that every failure taught you new skills, reshaped your approach, and positioned you for opportunities you would never have pursued otherwise. The circumstances that once seemed designed to break you now formed the bedrock of your transformation, aligning you with a destiny far greater than your past would have suggested. Behind these metamorphic moments, unseen spiritual forces labored to clear the path for your elevation. Your trials were not tests of endurance alone, but blueprints for divine elevation. At the precise instant you cried out for relief, angelic assistance swooped in, sometimes through a word of encouragement from a stranger, other times through a sudden insight delivered in a dream, or the unexpected arrival of a resource you desperately needed. In the seldom quoted prophecy of Zephaniah 3 verse 17 it declares, "The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness." That gladness was not just a promise of future celebration. It was an assurance that your suffering was being counted and redeemed in the heavenly realms. Every hardship was a calibration by divine hands, shaping your heart for the greatness waiting to be released. Yet, even as you witness these signs of elevation, there lingers a familiar hesitancy, a fear that stepping fully into your newly forged strength will expose you to fresh trials or strip away the comfort of familiar pain. Many resist their own initiation, preferring the known anguish over the unknown glory. You may worry that embracing the warrior within will demand sacrifices too great, or that your newfound resilience will isolate you further. But true alignment calls you beyond reluctance into full embodiment of your calling. This is your sacred moment of decision, to trust that the refining fires were never meant to burn you to ashes, but to sculpt you into the instrument of light you were born to become. Now that you recognize your trials as initiations rather than punishments, it's time to claim your emerging power with both humility and authority. Release the reluctance that says, "I'm not ready," and declare instead, "I was forged by fire and now rise as a warrior of light." Cultivate daily practices that honor your initiation, rituals of gratitude for every hardship that taught you strength, moments of stillness to integrate the lessons you've learned, and acts of service to channel your hard-won empathy into healing for others. Seek out a community of fellow initiates who understand the alchemy of pain and who will stand with you as you step fully into your role as a catalyst of transformation. Remember that your initiation is not a journey you walk alone, nor is it a path you will leave behind. It is the source of your empathy, the wellspring of your authority, and the foundation of your purpose. As you embrace this identity, you become a beacon for those still wandering in the dark, proof that adversity can ignite the greatest strengths. Comment initiation if you've felt your spirit tempered by fire. Let your affirmation unite with ours, declaring that what they intended for harm, heaven transformed into the very crucible of your greatness. The same fires that once threatened to consume you now burn away doubt, setting the stage for the warrior you were destined to become. Awaken and lead. You've lived long enough to sense that something within you refuses to remain small. You felt the stirrings of a deeper knowing in moments when the world demanded conformity, when colleagues urged you to stick to the script, when family warned you not to rock the boat, when friends joked about your crazy ideas. In those moments, you closed your mouth, swallowed your truth, and slipped back into the shadows. Yet the longing never left. You carried a quiet ache for purpose that no amount of agreement could satisfy. If you've ever felt that pull, the undeniable whisper urging you to speak up, stand out, and break free, know that you are not alone. Tonight, we'll explore why your awakening matters, how it dismantles the old rules, and why you were born to lead others out of darkness into light. Behind every act of silence, there was a fracture in your spirit. You remember the time you nearly voiced a vision that could have changed your workplace, only to clamp down at the last second, fearing ridicule. You recall the sermon that moved your heart to speak up for justice, but you stayed mute because raising your voice felt too risky. You've watched as opportunities to serve slipped through your fingers because you worried about stepping on toes or igniting conflict. Those choices left you with a gnawing regret, as though you'd traded genuine impact for the illusion of safety. This struggle between your longing to awaken and the fear of exposure created an inner conflict that left you feeling fractured and unfulfilled. But every moment of hesitation has primed you for the clarity you now carry. Then your awakening broke through like dawn after the longest night. You realized that their rules were never meant to guide you. They were designed to limit you. In the lesser-known letter of Baruch, for one it urges, lift up your eyes to the heights and see where you have not labored, for everywhere your children have prospered. You recognize that the heights are not off limits to you. They are the very vantage points from which you were meant to see the path forward. This revelation shattered the illusions you once accepted, false narratives about what you could or could not do, stories designed to keep you small. In that moment of clarity, you understood your calling, not to hide your light under a basket, but to let it blaze so intensely that it guides others through the night. As this clarity settled, you began to see its impact in real time. Conversations around you shifted when you spoke with conviction. Colleagues leaned in to catch every word. Community members paused to absorb your insights. And even strangers nodded with the relief of hearing truths they recognized but lacked the courage to voice. You found your footsteps leaving footprints. Invitations poured in to mentor, opportunities to lead projects arose without solicitation, and people reached out in gratitude for the hope you brought into their lives. Even your social media posts, once ignored, now ignited discussions and inspired others to share their own journeys. These were not random bursts of success, but the unmistakable signs that your awakening was catalyzing transformation around you. Behind these signs, unseen spiritual forces aligned to amplify your voice. When you spoke, it felt as though angels leaned closer to catch every phrase, ready to carry it into realms you could not see. Doors that once remained locked swung open, and behind them lay resources and alliances you had only dreamed of. In the quiet of pre-dawn prayer, you received flashes of insight that threaded your thoughts into powerful messages. Every synchronicity, meeting the right person at the right time, finding just the quote that illuminated someone's heart, receiving a timely breeze of encouragement, was evidence that heaven itself championed your mission. Your awakening was never solitary. It was a chorus of cosmic affirmations that your leadership was ordained. Yet, even with these affirmations, hesitation can creep back. You may wonder if stepping fully into leadership will fracture relationships, attract opposition, or expose you to vulnerability that feels too raw. Many resist the call to lead because the unknown seems more secure than the discomfort of change. It's natural to fear the loss of old comforts or to dread the responsibility of guiding others through uncharted territory. But this is your sacred crossroads, to choose the security of silence or to embrace the power and purpose of your voice. True alignment demands that you transcend the fear of the unknown and lean into the infinite wisdom that stirs within you. Now that you recognize both the impact of your awakening and the stakes of leadership, it's time to step forward without reservation. Release the doubts that tether you to the past. Speak with authority. I awaken to lead. I dismantle illusions and guide others toward truth. Cultivate daily practices that reinforce your role. Meditate on clarity before you engage. Journal the breakthroughs you ignite in others, and celebrate every small victory. The person you encouraged, the idea you sparked, the heart you lifted. Surround yourself with fellow leaders who challenge you to grow, hold you accountable to authenticity, and remind you that true power is rooted in service. Your awakening is not just personal transformation. It is a gift to a world hungry for genuine leadership. As you step into your calling, you become a living testament to the power of truth, compassion, and courage. You are the beacon that shatters illusions and lights the way for those still stumbling in darkness. Comment lead if you feel the call to guide others out of the shadows. Let your affirmation ring out as a declaration of shared purpose. We awaken and we lead together. They tried to silence you, but your voice now sounds like a trumpet blast across every barrier. The time has come. Unleash your leadership and watch the world shift beneath your footsteps. Confronting fear unlocks destiny. You've felt it in the hollow pit of your stomach when a new opportunity stirs your excitement and dread in equal measure. A whisper that says, "You could shine," immediately followed by, "But what if you fail?" You've looked at that mountain of possibility from the shadow of your comfort zone, heart pounding, wondering if you're brave enough to climb. You've questioned your worth, asking yourself if the vision burning inside you is worth the risk of rejection, ridicule, or worse, failure. In those moments, you feel utterly alone, as though everyone else scurries forward while you tremble at the starting line. If that describes your journey, know this: you are not alone, and the fear you carry is a signpost pointing directly to your destiny. Behind every trembling heartbeat lies the threshold to your greatest growth. And tonight we'll uncover how confronting that fear will unleash your higher purpose. For years, you've allowed hesitation to serve as your boundary, hemming in your potential with every what if. You've crafted lists of reasons why you shouldn't dare. Not enough experience, not the right connections, not the perfect moment. You've watched others leap at chances you dreamed of, then returned with tales of triumph and new confidence, leaving you to wonder if you'd missed the memo on courage. Every rejection letter and every awkward pause in conversation felt like another brick in the dam, holding back your river of possibility. Some days, the weight of self-doubt pressed so heavily on your spirit that just getting out of bed felt like a victory. These struggles cut deep, convincing you that safety was more valuable than sacred risk, that stout walls offered better protection than soaring wings. Yet your heart knew that such safety was a gilded cage, keeping the fullness of your potential just out of reach. Then came the moment of reckoning, when you realized that your fear was not a sentence, but an invitation. In the seldom quoted prophecy of Zephaniah 3 verse 14 it proclaims, "Sing aloud, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O Israel. Rejoice and exult with all your heart, for the Lord has taken away the judgments against you." That verse broke through your hesitation like a trumpet blast, revealing that the very judgment you feared was already annulled. You understood that fear is not a wall, but a gateway, each tremor in your soul an indicator of the next door you must open. This revelation reframed your fear from enemy to ally. It no longer muted your voice, but guided you toward the path you were meant to walk. Your trembling heart became a compass pointing you toward the chambers of your greatest expansion. As you embraced this truth, you began to see signs of transformation in your life. Situations that once paralyzed you now made sense as training grounds. The day you feared presenting your ideas became the day you discovered your natural eloquence under pressure. The friendship you hesitated to rekindle revealed itself as the source of vital support when you needed it most. The moments you stood silent in a group discussion, gathering courage, prepared you to speak a word that changed someone's trajectory. These were not flukes, but catalysts of growth, each fearful step forging a new strength. Like a shivering sapling bending in the wind, yet never snapping, you found resilience in the very places you once felt broken. Confronting fear is not a one-time act, but a lifelong rhythm that unlocks new chambers of your soul. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you expand the borders of what's possible. You become a living testament to the power of faith and action intertwining, guiding others to confront the fears that have held them back for too long. Comment fear if you've tasted freedom on the other side of your dread. Let your affirmation blaze as a beacon, calling others to rise and dismantle the barriers they once believed were unbreakable. They fed you lies to keep you small, but your bravery dismantles every barrier. Step forward and claim the destiny waiting behind the door of your deepest fear. Your legacy is now. You've carried the quiet fear that your life would slip into the background, a single grain of sand lost on an endless shore. You've watched trends rise and fall, generations come and go, and wondered if your own story would matter beyond the fleeting applause of a passing moment. Some days, the ache of insignificance pressed so heavily on your heart that even the simplest tasks felt hollow. You questioned whether your efforts would leave any trace, or if the world would remember you only as a name on a gravestone. If this echoes your experience, know that you are not alone, and that your legacy has already begun. What you sense deep within is not wishful thinking, but the stirring of a covenant promise that transcends time itself. For years, you've wrestled with the weight of small victories and larger disappointments. You poured your heart into relationships that fractured, devoted your talents to causes that yielded scant reward, and chased dreams that seemed perpetually out of reach. Each setback felt like confirmation that your life would amount to little more than a series of missed connections and unfulfilled potential. You've endured sleepless nights replaying conversations, second-guessing decisions, and wondering if the path you walked led anywhere but dead ends. That constant tension between hope and despair carved deep grooves in your spirit, making you doubt whether any impact you sought could ever outlast the moment it took to forge. You've walked a path that many cannot see, carrying doubts in your heart about whether all you've endured has any real purpose. You are the prophecy come alive, the one they could not silence, and the legacy they cannot ignore. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment, "I am chosen to let this message anchor in your soul." Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members. Your faith fuels this mission. Close with, The prophecy has found its voice. Let your rise be its roar.